a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
That is one of the big things that I hope, whether it's through my work or somebody else's, that people can really get revised. And when parents freak out, because they do freak out when they hear this, oh my God, what have I done to my kids? What can I do? I say, do this work for you. You know, even if all you do is one thing to get your self-worth updated, at least, so it's doing better, that affects every single person you live with, but every single person you interact with.
Servant's heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be a servant's heart. You can't serve others unless you have the
No.
self-worth and self-awareness.
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com/thebusinessnetwork or click the link in the description and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
One. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I was going to say your hope. I can call you my hope. My guest is going to be your hope because we're going to talk about money, but money from a different angle. I've had a couple guests on, but I'm loving my guest because I'm coming from the brain aspect. So that's where it starts. You know, somebody gives you $100,000, the brain starts ding, 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 ding. Fear, emotions, a lot of things come about. We're going to talk about how she's been doing this. She's only 22. I don't know how she's been doing since 95, but she's been doing it a long time. And as I say, expertise is all about experience. When somebody's experienced, they've done quite well. Before we start, here's our gratitude for today. You have the power to turn any situation around. Powerful, because money is a situation. It's probably one of our leading situations in our life, especially these days. So let's bring our guest on. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Steve.
I'm going to jump on that comment. That's amazing. I pull those gratitude cards out of the randomly, and they always relate to my guests somehow. But let's talk about impact. What's the biggest impact you've made to the state? You know, one impact that you can think of.
Well, it's not directly related to money, but I've had two different times where I was either a student of mine or assistant of mine. Like I knew something was off, and in both cases, they both had really serious brain events going on. One had a brain bleed. And she was like, I'm just tired. I'm like, I think you need to go. I think you need to leave. I think you need to go get it checked out. And another one, she'd been tested all these time for brain chemistry. I'm like, there's something wrong. It wasn't even about the work, but there's something not working in there. And because her life was crashing, and it turned, she got then finally diagnosed with, I can't remember all the initials of what it was, but then she had a way forward, and it completely changed her life. Both of them were like, oh my God, one of them was near dying, and the other was heading into a suicidal crash. So, other than that, it's been things like saving businesses, saving marriages, having people feel better, safer in their bodies, and have their life work easier is the most common impact. And I don't downplay that. That is huge.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you picked that, because not a lot of people would take those steps. Nothing wrong. And here's the crazy thing. Nothing wrong that they don't do what you did. You just were rised above and said, hey, something's not right. You made sure they got checked, and I don't know if they're still there today, but they were able to live and are living, if they are, a longer life. And happened to me, my 2011, my hairdresser of all people I'd known for years, I had a little lump on my ear and I wouldn't get it checked. It wasn't working. Didn't have my, all that fear, which we'll talk about here in a second. Went to the doctor and it was cancer. It was basal, but I had to have it removed. And every time I see her, I'm seeing her in a couple of weeks. We bring it up. It's like could have saved my life like you did. And wish more people would take that step. So thank you. Power situation, money. Money situations can be powerful, good and bad, because of fear. Talk about that.
Yeah. Because I talk a lot about the mind and the brain, and most of the things that keep us really stuck in life are not conscious. If they were conscious, you would have changed them already. And most people are trying to solve subconscious problems consciously, which is a little like if there's a flood in Mississippi, sending a rescue team up to Canada to talk about it. Like it's literally the places that keep us stuck are a different part of the brain than our conscious mind. And everybody's trying to fix it through strategies and techniques and plans. And those will work if there's nothing subconscious in the way. Those will work great. But I can't tell you how many different financial advisors, planners, like I've been doing a lot of podcasts lately, and people who, huge like resumes on their financial sheets, and they'll say, yeah, we can give people all the tips, all the advice, we can give them all the tools, and it won't work if they're not aligned with it. And most of the things that aren't aligned are not conscious. We may be aware of them, but they're not running in our conscious mind. They are running 24 hours a day, like CNN, a 24-hour day loop of the worst hits of our childhood, as though it's still happening.
It's crazy because I'm thinking of lottery winners. It's a perfect audience. If you think about anybody, that's right. Isn't that the perfect example? Mm-hmm. Here, you just won $10 million. You take it home 5, and was it 80%, 75% are broke in 3 to 5 years, which amazes me.
Yeah.
Talk about how they can take that next step so the subconscious can be part of this whole scenario.
Right. Well, it's really hard to access your subconscious yourself because it is by definition below conscious awareness. So, I've been doing this work 30 years. When I have stuff up, I have to go see somebody else. So the best way is actually to have somebody who knows what they're doing work with you. But I know there's a ton of people who are never going to come to a workshop. They're never going to go, work with me or somebody, which is why I wrote the book I did. I put some patterns in there in the book that are designed to access get the parts of the brain that are holding the old pattern to light up. Because that's the first thing you need, access to where the pattern's stored, And then once you've got access, then there's ways of creating new neural connections between that stuff that's usually, way back here, old parts of the brain, that are parts that are trying to keep you alive by repeating everything that was terrible in your childhood. Mm-hmm. We can talk about that more later, but this doesn't care if you're happy. The part of your brain that's in charge of your survival doesn't care if you're happy. It only cares that you're alive. And so most of the things we believe about ourselves, our safety, how safe the world is, what we have to do to be safe, what we have to do to be loved, what we have to do to be worthy and deserving of good life, most of that in place by age 3, almost all of it by 6. And then unlike your phone, your brain is not designed to update itself. It is designed actually to go into like password protect. And so that's why change is so hard and people, beat themselves up. But if you can actually get access to where the patterns are stored, the patterns that say you're not enough, you're not doing enough, you have to work harder. Such a lie, by the way. You have to be more, you have to be less, you have to, you have to give things away to be loving. All these kind of stuff, that money is not spiritual, that you can't do better than other people without attracting envy, like all that stuff. If you get access to where the original patterning is stored and then create neural connections to the part of your brain that knows, actually, no, there's more than enough for everybody. Actually, no, you are okay. Like that, you don't have to. I mean, our sense of worth is in place by age 3. I defy you to show me a 3-year-old who is unworthy.
That's true.
Yeah. So almost none of us have a genuine sense of our own worth. We have one that was in place by 3. And even the most loving parents who are trying to instill a sense of worth in their kids, if the parent doesn't have it, the kids won't really have it, because kids are not, those of you who have kids may have noticed they're not paying attention so much to what you say, but they do pay attention to how you feel, including even the feelings you don't know you're having. Like, we've tend to block out a lot of the stuff we're feeling. We're so used to it, we don't even notice a lot of times that, we feel inadequate or insecure, but they feel it. And they kind of, by absorption, take on a lot of that. So even in the best of homes, people often come out with not a full sense of their worth. And then we spend the rest of our life trying to justify our worth through hard work, effort, etc.
That's scary, because parents are working 2 jobs. They're not home.
Yes.
Single parents are all over the place. And I'm not saying no judgment here. It's just how the world's going. So we need this more than ever right now, and maybe even worse if it keeps going the next 3 to 5 years in this route, right?
Yeah. And that's why every single course I do, whether it's money or something else, has a piece on self-worth in it, because it affects everything. It affects our relationships, our money, our health. And, we're the only species on the planet that has this issue. I mean, trees aren't stressed out about whether or not they're enough, They're not justifying.
No, they're not. You're so brilliant. And the other thing that came to my head is social media and the noise. That has changed. Once those funds came out, our self-worth changed. I've got to look like, Hugh Jackman, or that bodybuilder, or my friend. Look, he put 40 pounds of muscle. He looks like a celebrity. I've got to be like that. I may never be like that.
Yeah. And thank God. Yeah.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
The thing is, like, each person here, there's never been anybody exactly like any of us, right? So how in the world would anybody else know what we're supposed to be like? Because there's never been one of us. And so this way in which we compare ourselves and then feel like a failed version of other people's expectations is just so brutal on the heart, the soul, our humanity. Yeah. So that is one of the big things that I hope, whether it's through my work or somebody else's, that people can really get revised. And when parents freak out, because they do freak out when they hear this, oh my God, what have I done to my kids? What can I do? I say, do this work for you. Even if all you do is one thing to get your self-worth updated, at least, so it's doing better, that affects every single person you live with, but every single person you interact with.
Servant's heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be a servant's heart. You can't serve others unless you have the self-worth and self-awareness. They lead to each other. Let's jump into the book, Wired for Money. What a great name, by the way. Well, I can see my brain with wires, which they do. Tell us about the book, the mission, and what we're going to learn.
Yeah. Well, here, it's in my author's copy. There we go.
Look at that. Yeah.
Look at that. Originally I self-published as a book called Money Magic. It was based on my workshop that I was doing all over the world. And about a year ago, St. Martin's, what sounds true and is now St. Martin's, asked me if I'd publish an updated version. So I have, because, a lot of stories have happened since I originally came out with it. But what it is it's some of the change work that has had the most success in getting people to have to realize what they want financially, but emotionally. Like, a lot of people are doing work they don't even like for money and working way too hard. So what this does is it goes through it helps people get clear on what they want, what they actually want, not what they think they have to do to get what they want. Because quite often people have a 10-year plan on what they think they have to do to have the result they want, when they could have it much sooner in a much more magical and easy way. So helping them get clear on what they want, and then starting to notice all the subconscious self-sabotage. Some of it beliefs about, we're not safe, you have to work hard, you're not enough, all of that stuff, starting to revise those beliefs at the neurological level, not just doing affirmations. And there's nothing wrong with affirmations. But affirmations happen consciously. And consciously, you can do 5 to 9, pay attention to 5 to 9 things at any given time. Subconsciously, your system is processing 2 million or more things per second. And our beliefs about, so nobody ever does an affirmation for something they already believe, right? What would be the point? So we're always doing, if we do have an affirmation, it's about something we don't believe yet. And so if we don't already believe that we're, safe, okay, we can have the life we want, money can flow easily, we deserve a good life. If we don't already have that, that means we have patterns running 24 hours a day that say not okay, not safe, not us, 24 hours a day. And so if you can access those and start to revise those things that are running automatically to something that says, you know what? We are safe. You are okay. You are enough. It's okay to have a good life. I swear to you, the original title of my workshop is Money Magic. It does feel like magic because stuff just shows reality seems to change when our beliefs change. And there's some neuroscience to back that up. We used to call it the reticular activating system. Now it's called confirmation bias is the term du jour. But what we believe actually filters what we see at an ocular level and what we perceive on all levels. So when those change, like the world really does seem to change and come meet us in a much happier place. And that's what I want, is for people to be happy and thrive. Because I have clients who are worth more than $1 billion, riddled with anxiety, or don't feel free, won't let themselves do what they want, right? So more money isn't always the answer. Poverty is no joyride. So, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So it's finding a place where people can really thrive on all levels in a way that comes from out of who they are and the universe meeting them there in magical ways. That's what I want for folks.
Money should be a benefit, not a detriment.
A blessing.
And that's what you're seeing. Blessing.
It's a
Abundance.
blessing. Yeah. And so in the book, I've got different change patterns coming at it from different ways because there's a lot of ways people can get stuck. So some of it is just creating neurological chains from where you are to where you want to be, like building a little neurological road. Some of it is revising old beliefs about the world or ourselves. Some of it's about self-worth. Some of it's ancestral because we don't realize how much we're affected by our lineage. And those are some of the biggest blocks I face with people, actually. I had a guy, can I tell you a story?
Please.
I had a guy, he came to me with a severe gambling problem. And he actually said to me right out, he said, it's like I'm trying to lose my house. And when he said that, like alarms went off and I thought, okay, who lost their house? So I asked him a little about his family history, and his family had moved to just outside of Los Angeles in the 30s, and they lived next to a Japanese family. And in 1942, after Pearl Harbor, that family was rounded up and put in a internment camp, and his family got their house. Now they were friends, but they benefited at that family's loss. And so here he was, not even consciously tracking it, but 80 years later, trying to repay that debt by losing his house. Now that doesn't happen. That Japanese family is long gone. The casino, and nothing against casinos, but they don't need another house, right? Like no. They're doing okay. So I had another client. He said his business, he said, it's like I'm trying to get my business to fail. And I just said, whose business failed? And he went, oh, my dad's. So that's a much bigger piece than people realize. And then the relationship people have to money, how they talk about it. That's one of my favorite one of most people's favorite parts of this work is getting to actually see what they're projecting onto money and feel it and start to move it out of the way so they can have their own relationship to money, not all the cultural beliefs, not all the religious beliefs, not their parents' beliefs and ancestors' beliefs, their own experience of money. That's huge.
I love what you're talking about. My dad grew up in the Depression. Here I'm in San Jose, and he used to tell me stories. We eat 2 cans of bean every week. That's all his dad, my uncle, his brother, could eat, and he lived his life that way. Very frugal man, And I mean that with a compliment. But I kind of fell into that trap, and not a trap, but that mindset until I talked to somebody just like you, and it was, exactly like him. And he said, that's not you. That's not 1921 anymore. It's gone. And once I changed the subconscious one, it's okay to have abundance / money. So you nailed it. Those two stories are fantastic. And it could be any scenario. So we put in place here an expert. Obviously, you get all this.
Mhm.
Somebody listening, what's a piece of advice you can give them to go, if you're fearful with money, do this or,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I get asked this a lot, and a lot of times people are asking for a conscious action somebody can take, right? And this is the thing, most of it's not conscious, it's subconscious. So this first part's going to sound self-serving, and I don't,
Sure.
because I'm going to say this is why I wrote the book. Most people don't make money off books. There's not a lot of money in being an author, but I wanted people to have something they could go back to. And this is what a lot of people who bought the original version book, they say, I go back to it if ever I get stuck, I go back to it, because that can revise the patternings. Now, having said that, right now, one thing that we don't do nearly enough, here is a conscious thing you can do. We don't nearly enough ask for help. And I don't mean necessarily from our neighbors. If you have a spiritual practice, or even just dead ancestors, I'm telling you, once our ancestors die, they perk up a lot. Like they let go of a lot of this stuff, but they are still connected to us, and they are sources of tremendous support. So you can, if you were to just ask for support from your whatever version of the universe you feel connected to and your ancestors every day, things will start to happen. I can tell you that. If you start to hit limits, then you're probably going to want to revise some of the subconscious patterns. But those are what I go to every time I'm stuck. So I
Brilliant.
hope that's helpful.
I've said brilliant more times on this podcast than I ever have in 1,100 shows, but it is brilliant because that's a step, and that's what you're saying. It's not going to answer all your problems, but if you're stepping to it. So I'm going to do something even further because, Michelle, what you're saying is put Michelle on your table, your nightstand, your coffee table, your dining, wherever you place your books, because I love that. You audience, if you listen this far or watch this far, I'm going to send you 10 gifts. The first 10 people, you have to reach out to Michelle. We'll get her contact information here in a minute. I will send her book to you for free.
Oh my God.
First 10 people. Now, audience, don't go, I've got a lot of money. If you don't think you need the book, I'm going to still send it to you. Gift it to somebody else so me and Michelle more Michelle than me, but Michelle can impact somebody else. Because that's the power of books for me. It's not the abundance of money you'll make. It's you get to have Michelle on your desk and you just won the lottery. Grab her book, walk through those steps, and would you like to keep $5 million in your pocket 10, 20, 30 years later, especially in your 40s and 50s? Powerful. So before we end the show, so make sure, and I'll mention it again, we'll get her contact info. Let's ask a fun question to get to know what Michelle's all about. So I'm going to come out to Sebastian. You live in Northern California near me. Probably could come out. So I come out. You're going to pick your favorite restaurant so we can go out and eat. Two things I want you to do. I want you to invite 3 people, whether dead or alive, who've made the most impact in your life. And number 2, the food. I'm a foodie, so I want to know what Michelle would order for food. We'd all have food at the table that you like.
Okay. All right. Well, I probably right now take you to, because the restaurants are always changing. There's a lot of fine restaurants here and they're always changing. But for sheer comfort, I like Augie's French food in Santa Rosa. Their bourguignon is really good. And so is their warm red onion tart. Yeah, it's really good.
Very
So
good.
we'd probably go there. Who would I ask? In terms of dead, and I'll get emotional about this, Desmond Tutu. I would invite Desmond Tutu. Not only a profound and wise and compassionate soul, but just a joyous human being. So Desmond Tutu. Probably. Paramahansa Yogananda. He what a sweet soul. And then she's busy, but I'd still invite Taylor Swift.
What a table.
Yeah.
Two,
right?
and yoga, the man, yeah. I can tell spiritual. So that's why I love asking that question. We get to learn, hey, you like a little music and a little spiritual, which is kind of big, what you're doing with people. And Michelle, I got to thank you for taking the time and being an incredible guest, really inspiring and motivating, educating this audience. People are going to want to reach out to you. And by the way, if you reach out, mention the podcast, we're going to send you a book. How can they reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, they can find me at wiredformagic.com. I love for them to reach out.
Beautiful. The contact page there. Just throw in Doing Business Servant's Heart, Steve Ramona's podcast. Whatever way, just so she knows it's this podcast. She'll get your contact info and send it to me, and I'll get you a book out to you. And, let's impact others. And another thing with the book, if you got a great book like Michelle's, share it with people after you read it. Get it back, but share it with people, because podcasts and books to me are the same. We're not going to make a crap load of money. I don't care, but we're going to make a crap load of impact. And that's the crap that I would love to be part of. Kind of funny I just said that. But with that being said, me and Michelle want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a joyful day today. Take care.